Welcome to the news here on IETV and to our viewers on IETVTT.com. I'm Micah Dumé. Thanks for joining us. In the headlines, a Senate passes Justice Reform Bill aimed at reducing court backlogs. Lifeguards deployed nationwide for Carnival weekend after Mayaro drowning. Internationally, Cuba is facing its most severe energy crisis in decades, with widespread power outages disrupting daily life and critical infrastructure across the island. In our top story, the government has taken a major step toward reforming the justice system as legislation aimed at reducing delays and clearing a growing backlog of civil matters was passed in the Senate. The Civil Division Bill 2026 was approved unanimously with all 29 senators voting in favor. The legislation provides for the establishment for a civil court, a small claims court, and an estates administration office, all intended to modernize the handling of civil cases. Attorney General John Jeremy said the bill seeks to restructure and modernize civil justice in Trinidad and Tobago by creating a dedicated civil division within the judiciary and clearly allocating jurisdiction among specialized courts and officers. He defended the continued diversification of the Supreme Court, noting previous reforms that created the Family and Children's Division as well as the District Criminal and Traffic Courts. Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, Daryl Alahar, said long-standing staffing challenges, including high turnover and uncertainty within the judiciary, have contributed to inefficiencies. He said the bill is designed to address these systematic weaknesses and help restore public confidence in the administration of justice.
The purposes of the bill, as reflected in the long title, are to restructure and to modernize the administration of civil justice in Trinidad and Tobago by creating a dedicated civil division of the judiciary and clearly allocating jurisdiction among specialized courts and offices.
Performance management, assessments of civil servants. We had to help with interviewing people for positions by delegated authority of the Service Commission. We had to manage the accounts because the registrar was the accounting officer of the judiciary. And there were lots of things that we had to do assisted by clerks.
Certified lifeguards will be stationed at designated beaches across Trinidad and Tobago during the long Carnival weekend, the Ministry of Defense announced. This includes 7 locations in Mayaro where 17-year-old Gabriel Nelson tragically drowned on Sunday. Nelson, a student of St. Stephen's College, was spending the day at the beach with relatives when he got into difficulties in chest-high water. His body was recovered 2 days later. He was described as a commendation student with great promise. In a media release on Wednesday, the ministry stated that lifeguards would be on active duty from Thursday through Ash Wednesday to support public safety and emergency response. While these measures aim to enhance safety, the public was urged to remain vigilant and exercise extreme caution when entering the water. The release also highlighted that Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service has issued a hazardous seas bulletin currently in effect. The ministry strongly encourages the public to take this advisory seriously and to prioritize personal safety at all times. It said beachgoers are advised to heed instructions issued by lifeguards, observe posted warning flags and signage, avoid swimming during periods of high tide or rough sea conditions, monitor weather and marine advisories. A marked police vehicle was destroyed by fire on Wednesday while officers conducted a search for firearms and ammunition in Lower Santa Cruz. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service sport utility vehicle bearing license plate PEJ 1010 was destroyed on Grand Farrell Trace. According to a police report, around 8 a.m., officers received information that firearms and ammunition were allegedly stored in a small, abandoned wooden house at Lipole 13 Farrell Trace. A team of 3 officers responded to investigate. Upon arrival, they observed a structure matching the description, while 2 officers searched the house. 1 officer remained outside to watch over the police vehicle. During the search, a pistol magazine was found inside the building. The officers then heard an unusual sound, and moments later the vehicle became engulfed in flames. The team moved to safety and alerted colleagues at the station. Firefighters responded and extinguished the blaze. No injuries or arrests were reported at the scene. We pause for a moment. More news when we come back.
Perfection doesn't happen by chance. Like an artist, the cook selects the main ingredient, one that is worthy of a proud cultural tradition. Trusted to enhance your creations with its richness and versatility. To create a cooking masterpiece, the secret is simple. The brand we know, the brand we trust, the brand our ancestors have been using for generations. There is only one pure cow brand ghee. Look for the marks of authenticity.
Tile Expressions Limited, as one of the largest importers of tiles, offers an extensive range of high-quality tiles in ceramic, porcelain, granite, stone, and mosaic options. Additionally, we offer a variety of tile accessories and bathroom sets to complement any decor style. We are committed to providing exceptional customer service and swift delivery of all products. From indoor and outdoor tiles to bathroom sets and tile accessories, we have curated a range that caters to both traditional and modern taste. Lampus 13, Ajudha Road, Munro Road, Canopia. Call 223-8453.
Welcome back. 2 men have surrendered to police and a high-powered AR-15 rifle has been recovered less than 24 hours after a police officer was shot during a patrol in Tunapuna. Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander confirmed that decisive action at the highest level of the police service led to the breakthrough. Alexander said he, Commissioner of Police Alistair Gavaru, ACP Singh and ASP Barath went into the bamboo area of Tunapuna shortly after officers came under fire on Monday. One officer, PC Philip, was shot in the right leg during the incident. According to the minister, a stern ultimatum was issued for those involved to surrender and hand over the firearm. That warning was heeded. Within hours, 2 men walked into the Tunapuna police station and provided information, leading officers to the location of the AR-15 rifle, which was later recovered from a drain along Eastman Street. Minister Alexander praised the leadership of the police commissioner, warning criminals that there is zero tolerance for gun violence. He also revealed that he coordinated with Health Minister Dr. Lakram Budu to ensure the injured officer received immediate medical care. PC Philip underwent surgery yesterday and remains under treatment. Police said officers were responding to a report of an assault along Upper Fairley Street when an armed man wearing a black opened fire with what appeared to be an automatic weapon. The officers returned fire, forcing the gunman to flee. A 25-year-old civilian was also shot in the shoulder during the exchange. Both the injured officer and the civilian were taken to the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex. Police later recovered spent and live rounds of ammunition at the scene. Commissioner Guevara visited the injured officer and civilian at hospital. Investigations are ongoing. Minister of the People, Social Development and Family Services Vandana Mohit says crisis management at an essential service is not optional but a responsibility, a point she raised during a joint select committee meeting on January 28th. Acknowledging ongoing challenges, the minister said commendations are warranted for the measurable improvements and stabilizing work carried out at the port since the government took office. She noted that these efforts have helped ensure continuity, strengthen accountability, and protect a service that is critical to national life.
Anything that is operating 24 hours, 365 days a year is deemed something essential, as an essential service. Despite the fact that you are operating under different regulations, I think it is a useful suggestion that you incorporate all of them and you have a crisis management policy that you can look to because of the fact that crisis response effectiveness is also crucial, which brings us to my next question. How is crisis response effectiveness really measured if you have no single policy incorporating all your regulations, which you can look back to?
So there isn't one single policy, but we do have a governing framework under which we will operate under for an emergency at the port, if it means increasing the threat level. So it isn't an actual policy document, but there is a guideline under which we would operate. But I do take your recommendation, and I thank you for it.
The Minister of Housing, Philip Edward Alexander, posted on social media today stating that his ministry is actively working to curb the influx of large feds in residential neighborhoods. He emphasized that these events often get approved quietly with little public awareness, and he stressed the importance of managing noise and traffic. He also made it clear that in these events cause inconvenience to the community, then they are simply not worth it. In addition, he reiterated his full support for the Prime Minister and the priority of community well-being.
I've learned some stuff in the past couple of days about how this thing works, and it's frightening how much wrong is done in plain sight in the name of state and law. The Catholic Board of Management is used as a front. They get a fee from these promoters who make millions of dollars with one fet. They get a little fee, but the EMA and the courts are told that it's the Catholic Board of Management. That's fraud. That's the first step. The EMA publishes that an event is taking place, and if you don't object, they grant the variance. The problem is, the EMA publishes that in newspapers that nobody don't read anymore. So people only find out that a fete is happening in their community when the stage and tents go up. And then it's the expensive part of the $15,000 to $20,000 to pay for an injunction. There's a home for the aged that the Catholic Board of Management was supposed to inform that this event is taking place, and we are the ones who inform them, my people. That is the only way they know to protect the elderly in that home and the infirm in that home for what's about to happen to them tonight. And it's unfair. The amplification of music now and what it was as little as 15 years ago is massively different. When a fete takes place in the savannah, we hear it in Westmoreland. Look at the distance. I wonder about the people in proximity. I wonder about the people in the hospital. The Prime Minister has said that noise pollution is going to occupy a large part of her concern, and she has my full support. And I'm telling Trinidad and Tobago, fete nice, party nice, but if your pleasure has to cause other people inconvenience, pain and stress, it's not worth it.
At the conclusion of her tour of several locations within the Point Fortin community today, Minister of Works and Infrastructure Jerlene John paid a visit to Lake Asphalt of Trinidad and Tobago 1978 Limited. During the visit, Minister John met with the company's chairman, deputy chairman, members of the board of directors, acting chief executive officer and the management team. Discussions centered on Lake Asphalt's current operations and key strategic priorities, including its continued contribution to national infrastructure development and economic activity. The engagement also provided an opportunity to explore future plans and to reinforce the importance of innovation, sustainability, and collaboration in strengthening Lake Asphalt's role in Trinidad and Tobago's development agenda. You're watching IETV News. We'll return after these messages.
Attention all bakers, doubles vendors and roti makers. Try our high quality bromate free, all purpose and whole wheat flour. Low price and conveniently packaged in 2 pounds, 2 kg, 10 kg and 25 kg bags. For wholesale and retail prices, contact Shiklisho Limited at 665-3336 or 480-8715 or visit us at Warrenville, Canoopia. Shiklisho Limited, quality you can trust.
Har Har Mahadev just arrived at Prem Singh's in time for Mahashivratri. A variety of Narmada and marble lingams directly from India, starting from 2 inches. They have Abhishek lotas in brass and copper, Trishuls and Shiva Dhamrus in various sizes, plus a 108 bead Tiger's Eye Mala and Rudraksh Malas, ideal for Mahashiva Jap. Let Prem Singh's Puja Bhavan continue to assist you in your devotion with conveniently packaged ready-made Shivadhar, along with all ingredients required to complete your offerings, including Ganga Jal. You'll love the new arrivals of Lord Shiva Murti clothing in various sizes, Rudraksh handbands, Narmada lingam pendants, tiger printed, and Om Namah Shiva shawls for offerings. While shopping, don't forget to pick up your Shivratri handout. Prem Singh's Puja Bhavan, corner Watt Street, Curab, and in Chihuahuas, now relocated to 11 St. Ives Street. Call 663-6084. Visit Prem Singh's today. It's a family tradition, serving the nation and Dharma.
Are you renewing your motor, homeowner or business insurances shortly? Then call Kalyani Limited, agency for Tatil, for a competitive quote. With 2 locations, Todd Street, El Socorro and 5 Rivers, Aruca. Please call us at 221-5051 or 227-5051. Kalyani Limited, agency for Tatil, building relationships exceeding expectations.
Welcome back. The Blue Wave Harmony returned to inter-island service today following clearance from international safety inspectors. The Port Authority of Trinidad and Tobago says international classification surveyors, commonly referred to as CLAS, have officially cleared the vessel to resume operations. According to PAT, all repair works were fully inspected, passed, and certified by the relevant international classification surveyors and the Flag State Administration. The vessel has now received all required approvals to return to service, having met international safety, regulatory, and certification standards. As part of the final phase before full commercial operations, the Blue Wave Harmony will conduct additional sea trials, carrying cargo including loads exceeding 7,000 kilograms, construction materials, dangerous goods, and livestock. Once these trials are completed, the vessel will enter full commercial service on the Inter-Island Sea Bridge. The Blue Wave Harmony is scheduled to depart Port of Spain at 2 p.m. and Scarborough at 11 p.m. today. Let's now take a look at some international news.
Fuel as supplies dwindle under U.S. economic pressure. The government has closed universities, reduced school hours and the work week. It has cut public transportation and even limited fuel sales. Power outages lasting 12 to 15 hours a day have become a routine in Havana and across the island. Energy analysts and even international trade monitoring agencies maintain that Cuba's fuel reserves are just enough to meet 3 weeks of total domestic demand. The electricity shortfall has disrupted water pumping and food shortage, as well as the country relies on imported fuels for roughly 95% of its energy needs. Cuba warned international airlines that jet fuel will no longer be available on the island. In fact, according to a notice to aviation, the shortfall is set to last from 10th of February till 11th of March and comes just days after top officials said that air travel would not be impacted by fuel rationing plan. This had led airlines including Air Canada to suspend its services to Cuba. The carrier even said that it plans to fly empty planes to pick up approximately 3,000 passengers on the island and return them home. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has confirmed that crude oil shipments from her country to Cuba have been halted, and this while Mexico is still seeking ways to resume them following U.S. threats to impose tariffs on nations supplying oil to the Caribbean island.
This sanction being imposed on countries that sell oil to Cuba is very unjust, very unfair. It's not right because sanctions that affect the people are not right. You can agree or disagree with Cuba's government regime, but the people should never be affected.
Well, Cuba has long depended on Venezuela for much of its jet fuel, but it has received no crude or refined products since mid-December. When the US moved to block Venezuela's exports, that is, President Donald Trump has since vowed Cuba will receive no more Venezuelan oil and has threatened tariffs on any country that supplies fuel to the island. The island of 9.6 million inhabitants has been under a US trade embargo since 1962, enduring years of economic crisis marked by extended power cuts and even shortages of fuel, medicine and food.
Weeks after repressing a wave of protests, Iran has taken a two-track approach. It is rounding up and jailing perceived critics while at the same time pursuing a potential diplomatic opening with the U.S. A spokesperson for the main reformist coalition told local media that Iran's Revolutionary Guards have arrested the group's spokesperson, Javad Imam, along with 4 others. Several activists and filmmakers who co-signed a protest statement were also detained. Iran's government has branded the protests riots fueled by Israel and the U.S. In a statement on Monday, the country's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, urged people to show resolve against foreign pressure. However, alongside its defined pronouncements, Iran has signaled it could come to some kind of deal to dial back its nuclear program to avoid further conflicts. Local media reported that Iranian Atomic Agency chief Mohammad Islami has said that Tehran could dilute its highly enriched uranium in return for sanctions relief. Now, diluting or downblending uranium means that mixing it with other substances to reduce the enrichment level so the final product does not exceed a given threshold, and thus extending the amount of time it would take Iran to create sufficient nuclear material for a bomb. Now, at the talks in Oman last week, the U.S. and Iran agreed to discuss Iran's nuclear program. The Washington and Israel also want to put its ballistic missiles and support for regional militant groups on the agenda. Iranian officials have repeatedly ruled out putting Iran's missiles, one of the largest such arsenals in West Asia, up for discussions. Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian said that the new round of nuclear negotiations is an appropriate opportunity for a fair and balanced resolution of Tehran's nuclear issue, calling on the U.S. to avoid excessive demands.
The Islamic Republic of Iran, for its part, will take steps toward the success of this path and hopes that the other side will also remain committed to this objective and its requirements without making excessive demands so that a desirable outcome can be achieved.
Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi held separate calls with his Egyptian, Saudi and Turkish counterparts and described talks with the U.S. as a good start, while emphasizing the need to dispel mistrust about the American side's intentions and objectives.
Has the start of the end of NATO begun? We ask this because the United States is pulling back its troops while Washington is preparing to hand over 2 of NATO's most critical command posts to European leadership. Allied Joint Force Command in Naples and Joint Force Command in Norfolk will soon move out of American hands and into the control of European officers. Both commands are currently led by U.S. admirals, and that is about to change now. With Italy taking over the base in Naples and Britain in Norfolk, the shift is in alignment with President Donald Trump's demands that Europe must take responsibility for its own security. His administration wants a NATO that no longer depends on Washington to lead, fund, and manage its core military structure. The message from the White House has been clear. NATO must become European-led, and it is making multiple moves toward this. Recently, the Pentagon has reportedly informed allies of a withdrawal of around 200 American personnel from NATO structures across Europe. These exits effectively roughly 30 NATO-linked bodies are affected here, including specialized training centers and expert groups. American troops are also leaving key locations such as NATO's Intelligence Fusion Center in the UK, the Allied Special Operation Forces Command in Brussels, and a Maritime Command structure in Portugal. This transition comes amid political strain within the alliance and rising tensions in the Arctic and North Atlantic, especially with respect to Greenland. Last February, remember, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth publicly told European allies to take ownership of the conventional security on the continent. and Europe responded months later. At the NATO summit in The Hague, leaders pledged to raise defense spending to 5% of their national GDPs, more than double the earlier target. But despite that commitment, Pentagon plans to redirect military resources away from Europe and toward other priorities, including the Indo-Pacific and the US border security. For now, nearly 80,000 American troops remain stationed in Europe. NATO officials stress that the US presence is still substantial. Yet the direction is unmistakable. The balance of power inside NATO appears to be clearly shifting.
When we return, your weather update. Stay tuned.
During these challenging times, Dollar Value Supermarket is here for you, providing our customers with a clean, safe shopping environment, fresh produce from our farms, affordable prices, and friendly customer service. It's these values that make us not just a supermarket, but part of the community, committed to serving you and your family. Dollar Value Supermarket, your pocket-friendly supermarket. Free home deliveries from our Gasparilla and Fyzabad branches.
This Valentine's Day, join us on ITV for a full day of special programming. Live from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., enjoy a special Valentine's Day concert with Ruby Khan Gupta. Plus, call in for your chance to win exciting prizes.
Welcome back to IETV's Major News. Let's take a look at today's weather forecast. In today's weather update, Wednesday, February 11th, today was partly cloudy to sunny across Trinidad and Tobago with warm and humid conditions. Periods of increased cloudiness developed during the afternoon, bringing isolated to scattered showers mainly over central, eastern and southern areas, while other districts remained generally fair. Daytime temperatures reached around 32 to 33 Celsius in Trinidad and near 31 degrees Celsius in Tobago. Tonight is expected to be partly cloudy with a low to moderate chance of lingering showers, particularly over central, eastern and southern areas. Elsewhere, conditions should remain mostly settled. Winds will be light to moderate from the east, and overnight temperatures are expected to dip to around 24 to 25 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow, Thursday, February 12th, is forecast to be partly cloudy to at times cloudy, with isolated showers developing during the day and a slight increase in shower activity during the afternoon. Despite this, sunny intervals will persist and warm, humid conditions are expected to continue. Maximum temperatures are forecast to reach near 32 in Trinidad and around 31 in Tobago. Seas was slight to moderate, generally between 1.0 and 1.5 meters, occasionally reaching near 2.0 meters in open waters. Marine conditions are expected to remain generally favorable through Thursday, and mariners are advised to exercise normal caution. Recapping the headlines, Senate passes Justice Reform Bill aimed at reducing court backlogs. Lifeguards, that is, deployed nationwide for Carnival weekend after Mayaro drowning. Internationally, Cuba is facing its most severe energy crisis in decades, with widespread power outages disrupting daily life and critical infrastructure across the island. Well, this is where we leave you for now. On behalf of the entire news team, I am Micah Dume. Thank you for joining us.